Merce, we touched on it already. That's going to be a fascinating early kick-off on Saturday, isn't it, at Villa Park? Because they're now 6 points behind Arsenal. It's quite a gap, but the run of form they're on at the moment, I keep mentioning it, but 8 wins in the last 9. A few weeks ago, Villa are down in 18th. They're now part of the title race, aren't they? So what kind of problems can they cause Arsenal on Saturday?
Well, they're full of confidence, absolute full of confidence. It's all about timings for me when you play Premier League games. 5 or 6 weeks ago, Arsenal are looking at that game going, this ain't bad, we're playing Villa, you know. All of a sudden now, the last team you want to be playing is Villa away. You know, it's just come into it like that. Villa are playing with confidence. They've beaten Arsenal before. You know, they've caused Arsenal problems. They stopped Arsenal winning the league at the Emirates, really, a couple of years ago when they won there. They caused Arsenal problems. I think last year, Arsenal...
They won 2-0 there.
They won 2-0, but the year before, Arsenal really run them ragged, but I think Villa won 1-0 that day.
Correct, yeah.
So there'll be a lot of panic. This is a big football match. Draw's no good now. You know, you draw this game, Man City win, 2 points gained again, and everything goes out, you know. So for me... 12:30 kickoff as well. They do make a difference, these early morning kickoffs.
Yeah. Just coming back to Declan Rice, he did come off with a bit of an injury. I mean, listen, it's difficult to second guess how bad it is, but it didn't look overly serious. But he'd definitely be a question mark for the weekend, wouldn't he?
No, Henderson went over to him to pat him on the head, and he pointed to the back of his calf. He didn't look too disappointed, but for me, he's the one player they can't miss. Yeah. Again, he was phenomenal again today, bombing forward. So, yeah, big match this weekend.
Still got a couple of injuries by the looks of it, and a big win. How would you sum up the evening?
Yeah, rest, that's quite a positive word to use. We had to make some changes. We had a very, very demanding week at every level, emotionally, physically, what the game demanded. In the tactical and technical aspect of it, we were asked to play 3 days later, one less recovery than them. And still performing the way that we've done it against a team that is super well coached, very well organized, that they are very clear how they want to generate big chances, and they are really good at doing that. So 1-0, we knew it wasn't enough. I don't think we conceded anything apart from the save that they had to make on the corner. But the game was always open, you know, and we needed that extra energy to close it. And maybe when we didn't have it, we had the courage to take the ball under pressure and to start to break their press to very good movement and purpose with the ball to go and score a second goal and win the game.
Anything worrying about the players who came off?
Yes, obviously it's never good news. Declan had to come off. We don't know. We have to see tomorrow what he's got. And Mosque is the other one that is out. Obviously we have big Gavi and Willie out as well. So we have to adapt. It's been a theme this season, but when I look at the players that they haven't been playing much, for example, Ben White, the performance that he had, or Martin that has been out, and he puts 96 minutes under his belt straight away. Noni, the same. Victor is coming, and now he's getting some minutes as well. So very pleased to see that.
Just a word on Mikel Merino. You keep showing that he can be one hell of a striker as well as
He was immense again, I think, today. The way he scored the goal, super smart. His timing, the way he wins the position and the execution. But after his overall performance, with the ball, without the ball, I think, remember an action that he passed the ball to Martin in behind. Martin doesn't chase it. He makes 40 meters to chase it to the corner flag, goes back, wins the ball back. I mean, he is everywhere, and he's go with that really good momentum at the moment, and he makes the team much better.
Gary, Sky Sports. Mikel, obviously, at the beginning, take a breath from Arsenal fans when Declan went down and came off. He seemed to be moving all right at the end when he went back onto the pitch, with a little bit of strapping maybe on his calf, his left calf. Can you give us any more insight?
Well, talking about fans and support, I asked them to be here at 7:30. I think they were earlier. So thank you so much to all of them for being with us, because we needed that energy today. And he could not carry on playing, so we have to wait and see tomorrow what happens.
But he's moving all right. Seems to be moving well.
Yeah, he can walk. He could not play.
He's played a lot of minutes, hasn't he, for Arsenal and for England, so would it almost be a precaution anyway if he went down?
The thing is playing a lot of minutes, but as well when, you know, now we play Wednesday night and we have to play Saturday morning as well. We can play minutes, but if they can please give us just a little bit more time to recover and to make the welfare of these players a little bit easier, that would be great.
Tom for London.
Hi Mikel. There was a clean sheet for the first time since November 4th, the Slavia Prague game. 5 goals conceded in those games since then. It was a big moment when you broke that record for clean sheets back in November. I guess now you want to start that record again. It was important to keep a clean sheet for the first.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think it was 4 games that we didn't manage to do that for different reasons. We conceded from a set piece against Chelsea and against Sunderland as well. The other ones are a little bit different. Today, we probably should have conceded a goal if it's not for David as well, and the save that he's made. But I think apart from that, we didn't really concede much.
What was the specifics of Mosquera's injury, by the way? We weren't exactly sure. Was it a knee or ankle?
Yeah, we have to wait and see. It's part probably of the knee or ankle. We don't know. He could not really tell us exactly how it was, but he wasn't able to continue.
James, CBS.
Hi, Mikel. I'd just like to ask you again on the other Mikel. One of the things that's sort of really been apparent in the last few games is how he's able to now drop into midfield and kind of create that box. Could you reflect on how he's grown into this role and made playing as a centre forward fit Mikel Merino?
I said it earlier, I think, in the press conference. His curiosity as his will to learn, and probably his will to help the team. And he knew that we had a major problem from the beginning of the season when we lost Victor, Kai was out, and Gabi Jesus was out. So we needed a solution, and he did it last year really, really well. I think this season probably is taking it to another step because he's able to do even more things. So yeah, I think the team is really grateful and he's enjoying it.
Art, Athletic.
Mikel,
Hi.
when you spoke about Ben White a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned he had to kind of prove himself when the opportunity came to him. And I'm guessing you feel he did tonight, but just how much have you missed him in this kind of spell that he hasn't been playing?
Personally, I think I'm very, very happy for him as a human being. I think the rest of the team is the same because he's a player that played always for us. And suddenly, because of the right reason, he wasn't playing that much because Juren was excellent and he was out for a while and then he needed to earn his place. But his attitude has been so positive, so good. And then when you are ready and you're given the opportunity, you take it like he did today. So I'm very happy that we have him back in the best version of himself as well. And we're going to need him because he's a tremendous player.
In terms of the 90 minutes today, how did you kind of assess it? Because it felt at 1-0 when, I don't know, it seemed there were times where players got that second goal and they maybe wanted to keep the 1-goal lead when the game was getting open and it seemed a bit tense. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think we had 3 big chances to put the second one. We didn't do it, and then when we were going for the second one, the game became a little bit open. We started to be a bit late in certain moments in the high press. They break it and the pitch is stretched, and then we need to be a bit more compact. But I think we went through that period really well when we started to take the ball and do what we had to do with the ball to bring the momentum down, bring the composure and the ball to the areas that we wanted to attract them and to use the open spaces that they left and score the second goal.
Isan Daily Man.
With Ben White, do you think there's signs there that he's potentially back to his best days? Because against him with the Arteta, he seemed to be just getting back to things where tonight with the overlaps, especially with Madueke, it seemed like he's overlapped with Saka a few seasons ago. Did you see that?
No. The first thing is a defender defend with that purpose and with that determination and efficiency, and he's done that today. And then if he can add the value that he can add with the ball through his passing, through his movement and through the deliveries that he can put with the quality that he has, so be it. And today I think he's done both very well.
And the Raya save, what do you make of that when he tips him to the crossbar?
I'm sorry him because they are so good at that as well, and yeah, it's a big moment again.
Okay, with the last couple, firstly James, ESPN.
Mikel, just on Merino again. I mean, his story is a little bit of an example for the players because it you know, the signings you made in the summer, maybe from the outside, made it look like he was going to struggle to get in the team, and yet here he is in December, arguably the most important player.
Yes, I think that's a lesson, and I took that lesson because the whole summer I was thinking, if we bring a 9, what was going to happen with Gabi Jesus and Kai, and I had a lot of nightmares, just thinking because I like them so much as well. Okay, what are we going to do, how are we going to handle, and so far we haven't had the problem because they've been injured, you know, so live the present, live the moment, and deal with the situation when it comes, that's it.
And finally, Jack Finson.
Okay, you mentioned the schedule you've got at the moment. Do you feel that's what's contributed to Declan's injury tonight and a number of the ones you've had?
Probably it's not one thing, but we can help the players and everybody, the league and everybody, to do what we have to do. Give us another day, and especially the teams that are playing so much in Europe. To everybody in general, I think if we can do that, because we're all going to benefit to that. We never had such a schedule at every level, not only in the Premier League, but every competition internationally as well. So we need to try to do that, please.
I'm sure you've made that argument for a few years. A lot of managers will. Do you ever feel like you're...
It's not an argument. I think it's common sense. I think it's not at some point this becomes too much, and the players are not machines. But we have to try to do that when we can.
Okay, Bob.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem. The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first." When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Merino's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game, and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Iza was signed for. Martin Odergard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of the knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Iza stepped into the spotlight. Iza's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Iza out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Iza is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Iza has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Iza and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because ease has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Ease had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Ease is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Ease is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Ease force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Ease's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.